Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. What an amazing day today. Beautiful day out there. Hopefully you got some time to go outside and enjoy it. But this weather is perfect for today for us showing you and highlighting a little about what your summer beverage choices could be. We're going to give you our advice on some summer wines as well as some nice summer cocktails. So first, I'd like to start off by thanking Diane Tavishian and that MyTech team for letting us, for inviting us to make this presentation. Here at the Endicott House, we've been making a lot of these virtual demonstrations. We are streaming live from the MIT Endicott House, from the den of the house, and from our studios here. And maybe you've joined in. We love sharing our passion and our knowledge. Our general manager, Michael Fitzgerald, has done a few of these MyTech presentations on gardening and plants. Our executive chef, Eddie Serrato, has done some nice culinary events and shared his tips on that. And today I'm going to share a little of my wine knowledge as well as some fun cocktails, how to make some cocktails today. So welcome. This should be casual. We're not going to dig too deep, but we want you to hopefully learn and try some of these at home. So today I'd like to start off by welcoming my colleague, Amy. Amy, hello there, welcome.
Hi.
And she is actually going to join us with the wine part of this presentation. We know today that that you do not have, you were not given the wines to taste with us. We will provide that on our website. So you will get to revisit these wines if you find something you're interested in. We'll provide that information on our website. So today's summer wines, I'm going to start off with Amy. Amy, are you a wine drinker?
Not a huge wine drinker. I'll enjoy a glass once in a while, but not a huge wine drinker.
Okay, and for the summer, as we head into, we're in June now, spring and summer. Is there a go-to wine that you would like to normally go to?
If anything, probably a glass of rosé is usually what I go for.
Rosé, excellent wines, very delicious, very trendy and popular this time of year.
Oh yeah.
I think we could do a whole show. Maybe we should do a show sometime on rosé. I actually like wines from the Provence region of France, but they make great rosés all over the world. So that would be fun. And there's a big spectrum of different tastes in rosé wines. But today, what we like to do is we like to start by giving a poll and seeing what our audience likes to do. What is their go-to summer wine? Excellent. All right. Let's see. It says Pinot Grigio. 18% of our respondents chose Pinot Grigio. And then 29% chose Chardonnay. Wow. Very popular. Chardonnay is the most widely planted grape around the world. And then 24% Riesling. And 22% Rosé. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, so today's wines, what we're going to do is try to get you out of your comfort zone. We know when you walk into a store, it can be overwhelming. There are wines from all over the world. So pro tip number one is to actually don't feel threatened. Engage with the wine merchant, talk to your local shop owner, and ask him for recommendations because they also want to share their knowledge. All right. So we are going to pick wines all around the globe today. We're going to highlight a few different wines which we think would be great summer wines. So as part of my job as Director of Food and Beverage is to design the wine list here, a wine list that hopefully all our guests will enjoy. And when I do that, there's certain wines, a certain style of how I assess wines. And I'm going to share that with you today. So what I call it is the 4 S's. The 4 S's stand for using our senses. So the first S is for sight. We will visually inspect the wine and that will tell us a story. Our second S is for swirl. The third S is for smell, to smell the aromas of the wine. And then the fourth S is scent. So those are the four S's, and we're going to start with sight. Okay. So you have wine in front of you, Amy. I have wine in front of me.
I sure do.
All right. So when you look at those wines, let's look at the white wines first.
Okay.
Which wine would you say is the lightest in color?
I would say this one on the end is the lightest.
Right.
Right
Okay,
here.
perfect.
Yeah.
So there is a little, you can notice a difference between the color of these wines.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the color of most of these wines, because they are light and summer wines, are going to be very close. But is there one wine that's a little darker than all the rest?
Probably this one on the other end. Yeah. Closest
Excellent.
to the red.
So there is a wine that's a little lighter in color, and there's a wine that's a little darker in color.
Mm.
So when I start, when a sales rep will come in and have me assess the wine, I like to have it over a white background or a white tablecloth, and I would tilt the glass over, and I would look at the color of the wine, and the color of the wine is going to start to tell me a story. The first three wines are very close in color, very light. So to me, those would most likely right away show that they're wines that might have not been put in an oak barrel. Maybe they've been stainless steel fermented. And then the darker wine actually, when you look at the last wine, the darker white wine, the golden, the more amber wine, that can be one of two things. That could be that wine is maybe a little older, so there's some age on it.
Oh.
Or it could be that they put that wine in an oak barrel to give it, the winemaker want to give it a few more flavors.
Very cool.
All right, so sight is first. Next would be swirl.
Okay.
So I would swirl the wine.
So I see a lot of people do this in the restaurant, and it always looks so fancy. So do you recommend doing it in your hand, or I can see you doing it on the table?
So
which is better?
The whole thing about this, it is not to be pretentious. The idea is I would do it on the table. It's easy to do it on a table.
Okay.
And what you are doing is you are basically doing what I call the pool break. By this wine has been kept corked in a bottle, and now it's in a glass. As you do this, it gets oxygen. It oxygenates the molecules. They're moving around. So when you go to smell the wine, you will smell more aroma. So when you swirl, the next one is smell.
Wow.
And this first wine, I don't even have to get too close to my nose. You can definitely smell some aromas. Very floral. Maybe you can tell me what comes to mind when you smell.
Maybe like a lemony, like citrusy.
Lemon.
Nice and bright.
Yep.
Nice.
Definitely floral. Definitely has some different flavors, smells in there. Citrus definitely being one of them. And then the last step would be taste. You're going to taste the flavors.
Way ahead of you, Sean.
Excellent. So this wine is very, I would almost say it's crisp. But when I talk about a description, it's crisp. I would relate that to biting into a green apple.
That's exactly what it's like.
And that's the flavor. So the first wine is actually called Raza. And this is a Vinho Verde from Portugal. Portugal, a warm climate. Raza is the producer. Vinho Verde is the grape varietal. I definitely tasted a little lime, definitely a crispness to it. It would pair very well with seafood. It's just a nice summer wine.
That's nice.
Next, we'll move into the second wine. I go through the same process. I quickly look at the color. This is also very light. I would swirl it, and then I would smell. And because we have both, I can smell. I would compare them just to see if there are different smells. I think the first one's a little more fragrant, and then I would taste. And the second wine, is it's not as crisp.
It's like smoother on the tongue a little.
A little smoother. Definitely got some citrus acidity to it. So this wine, the producer is Agiolus, and Agiolus comes from Sardinia. That is an island about 140 miles off the west of Italy. It's an Italian wine, and the grape is Vermentino. So Vermentino is the grape varietal. This is an interesting grape varietal, perfect one for the summer. If you don't find this one, maybe when you walk in a wine shop, you can ask them for do they have any Vermentinos, and see where they steer you. But a Vermentino, again, it's a wine off an island. I'm sure there's a lot of seafood on that island, and these flavors are going to pair very well with that.
Yeah, that's good.
Next, same thing. When you go through the process, look at the color, another light wine. This one is just slightly darker. I'm going to smell it, and then I'm going to taste it. This wine's actually from Sicily.
Ooh.
This is a white wine from Sicily. All these wines, the grape varietals are indigenous to this area. The main grape in this blend, it's a white blend of indigenous grapes, but is Carantina, and it's just a delicious wine. Again,
That's very good.
It has a little more body than the other first two.
Definitely.
But it's kind of straw in color, and it's another light, easy summer wine. I love the label of this wine. Definitely grabs my attention.
Oh, it's this one, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's gorgeous.
So the producer is Donna Fatoga. The wine is Antilia. It is a blend, a white blend from Sicily. We've worked our way. We've gone from Sardinia to Sicily, and now we're working up. And I would say we're going to go to, actually we went to Portugal too. This one is our next wine. Our last white wine is a Grüner Veltliner. Grüner Veltliner is the grape varietal. This wine is from the mountains of Austria. There's a lot of great white wines made in Friuli, Italy, northern Italy, as well as Austria. I like just calling this one the Grüner. Delicious wine. This is the one that was a little darker. So as I said, the darker yellow could be one of two things. This vintage is 2017. All the other wines were 2019. So that's one reason it could be a little darker. And the other thing I like to say is that could affect the flavor. These wines have been open for about a half hour. So they're not ice cold, so we can really taste the flavors. But all these wines definitely serve chill. They would be easy, crowd-pleasing wines around the pool or at a cookout. And hopefully we can welcome you to a cookout here at the Endicott House soon.
So the older the wine, the darker it will be?
That's one
it can be.
Story it could be. So one thing the wine could tell you from the color.
That's very cool. It's a little sweeter.
Yeah, this one definitely has the most body. This one has some pear flavors to me. And again, these are all interesting wines. Hopefully, maybe you'll get to try these at home. This one actually would pair nice also for Thanksgiving with turkey. Roast turkey would be nice pairing. And then last but not least, I know we're doing mostly summer wines and summer cocktails, but I'm a big griller in the summer. During the summer, I grill a lot. I had to sneak in a red wine. This one is also from Sicily. And what makes this wine so interesting, it's Tenuta Terranara. In Tenuta Terranara, this red wine, the winery is actually located very close to Mount Etna. And Mount Etna is an active volcano that actually had an eruption last week. I saw on the news. But this red wine, what makes it so interesting is it has two grapes that are indigenous to Sicily, as well as the soil. The soil is very rich in ash, a very dark soil, and that is a concept from wineries called terroir. What else can give the wine its flavor besides what grape varietal it is the terroir. And the idea of terroir is the idea of place. So you will have wines that are on certain slopes of the hill. Maybe there's different drainage. They get different sunlight during the day, and their root structure will go underground, and you'll get flavors from the types of soil. So some wines have more clay soil, some have sandstone, some have more minerality, limestone. But this is very heavily in ash. This is a very different red wine. So when you look at the color, Amy, what kind of color would you say?
It's like more like a bright red, like a ruby color.
Yeah, ruby red. I'd almost even call it a brick red. So when I look at wines, you'll see Pinot Noirs. They're more cherry red. Maybe you'll see a Shiraz is very deep purple,
like a maroon.
This is not. This is more of a brick red. You can see through it, so it's not a heavy wine. That tells me it's not a heavy wine. Again, it's a very tasty wine that would go nice with grilled meats, maybe grilled steak, grilled pork. Anything on the grill would go well with this.
And you swirl this as well, like the white wines?
You do that, so you're opening up the smell, the aromas. So when we're talking about wine, and I'm talking about the weight of the wine, this is another descriptor, Amy. The weight of a wine, I do this a lot in some of our staff trainings and seminars, it is a very easy way to understand the weight of a wine.
Mm.
If I were to blindfold and put 3 glasses of milk in front of you, and I put skim milk, 1% milk, and whole milk, do you think you'd be able to tell what's skim, what's 1%, and what's whole? I would guess the majority of people could.
Definitely.
So when we tasted those first wines, the last wine that Gruner had more of a medium, a heavier body of wine, more weight to it. Mm-hmm. That's the descriptor we use. So again, today we just wanted to inspire you to search out some new wines. Go to different corners of the earth, ask for different regions, step out of your comfort zone, and really try some of these wines that highlight what they're doing in these small villages around the world. And with that, I'd like to just touch on quickly on how wine can enhance the dining experience and how to pair food and wine. So one way to think of pairing wine and food would be to really think of wine as the seasoning. Some people like to put a lot of salt or a little pepper for spice on food. A lot of people I've seen with white fish, they would put lemon, and they would squeeze lemon and get some acidity and citrus on the white grilled fish. So instead of doing the lemon, I would say think of some of these wines. They're all from warm climate, tropical areas. They all have a wide range of seafood. And instead of squeezing fresh lemon, pair it with a wine that has nice acidity and some citrus flavors. That's an easy rule to pair wine with. To take that another level, when we serve lobster here at the Endicott House, we usually put it out with warm drawn butter. And you'll see a lot of people take their lobster, dip it in butter, and then eat it. So another way I would think of wine is instead of using the butter, maybe take a much richer wine. Take a heavier wine, one with a little more palate, a little more body, and maybe a Chardonnay that was in oak barrels has some vanilla, has some buttery butterscotch flavor. So a nice oaky Chardonnay would go very good with lobster. So these are some of the tricks I think of when I pair wine. Another way to think of it would be, don't overcomplicate it, but these wines are all from the Mediterranean for the most part. I know we talked about Austria, but the rest of them were from the Mediterranean. So tomatoes, lemons, here's a nice bruschetta, and the acidity of some of these wines would go well, as well as, maybe just finding out if you were in Austria, maybe there's a cheese, maybe they make a Gruner, there's farms and they grow the grapes for Gruner Veltliner, but maybe they also have on these farms sheep cheese or mountain cheese, different hard rind cheeses. And so you can find out, hey, what food comes from the same region as the wine. Usually that's a pretty easy way to pair food. So that will conclude our wine portion of today's seminar. And now we're going to get into mixing some cocktails. We're going to bring Amy back. Amy, we're going to teach you how to make a cocktail.
I'm excited.
Amy's going to, hopefully all of you can learn a little tricks today and become master mixologists, bartenders extraordinaire. All right, so our first drink, craft cocktail making, very popular today. And what craft cocktails are basically bartenders putting a spin on a more traditional recipe. Yep. So our first drink today, we're going to put a spin on a traditional recipe, a mojito. Oof. Mojito is made with rum. Rum is the main ingredients. A lot of great rums made. You have great rums made in Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. You have great rums made in Jamaica. And so we're going to make in Cuba. So the mojito comes from the south. You have a very popular summer drink. We're going to make a watermelon mojito today. We're just going to add a little fresh watermelon, and it's going to add some new flavor.
That sounds good. I'm excited.
So I have my bar kit here, and normally, I would make all my drinks in a mixing tin. But for today's purpose, we're going to make it in a glass so you can see what we're doing. So we're going to take a glass, and Amy, you should have everything I have, and we're going to put 4 pieces of watermelon, freshly cut watermelon in the bottom of the glass.
Alrighty.
Whoop, missed. All right. Next, we're going to take some fresh mint. We are very fortunate here at the Endicott House to have a greenhouse on our property. And in that greenhouse, we have lots of herbs. We have fresh basil, we have mint, we have oregano, all these different herbs that we use in our culinary program. And today we're going to use some of this fresh mint. So I would tear a couple leaves and tear and drop them in.
Should I pull them off the stem?
So we're actually going to strain this when it's done. But yeah, mostly the leaves. And by tearing them, you're releasing the flavors.
Okay.
So I would maybe put about 4 leaves in the bottom.
Alrighty. That smells so good.
It is very fragrant. Okay, and next we're going to take fresh lime juice. So this recipe calls for 3/4 of a tablespoon of lime juice. So that's about 1.5 limes. So I have a fresh lime squeezer here. We cut a lime in half, so we're just going to squeeze fresh lime juice in the bottom.
Okay.
Sometimes we would have all this already squeezed. If it was a busy night, we would pre-squeeze lime juice, have fresh squeezed lime juice in a little bottle. But if you're making mojitos at home, I absolutely recommend using fresh ingredients.
Right? Absolutely.
Fresh lime. The devil's in the detail. The better ingredients, the better the cocktail.
What if you don't have a lime squeezer at home?
A lot of people have the juicers. You can either use a hand juicer or even the electric juicers.
Oh, okay, that's good. Yeah.
Excuse me. All right, so we have mint, we have lime juice, we have watermelon. Next, it calls for simple sugar syrup. Simple sugar syrup, we also make that in batches here at the Endicott House. It's very easy. We would do 1/2 cup of water to 1/2 cup of sugar. We would melt that down, dissolve the sugar, and then we would cool it off. And the next day, we would pour that in a squirt bottle. That's what you have, Amy.
Sure do.
But if you don't want to go through all that, you could buy some. This is simple sugar syrup.
Okay.
And we're going to put 1 ounce of simple sugar syrup. We're going to use a jigger. A jigger is how we measure everything at the bar. I'm going to pour that in. All right, and next we're going to take another tool from our bar set. This is called a muddler. We are just going to push all this together. We're going to puree it up, muddle it all up at the bottom of the glass.
Get out some frustration doing this, huh?
Yeah,
Get a rough day.
This is
a little workout.
Do this for about 10 seconds. Get everything nice and juicy at the bottom. That's all your flavor.
It's a really pretty color.
Yeah, it's excellent. All right, next we're going to ice down. We're going to ice down that mixing glass.
Okay.
This is where I start to think, what glass are we going to end up in? So for today, for this glass, a mojito, I would put it in a Collins glass, which is a tall, thin glass. And before we finish our drink, I would take a little wedge of lime and I would squeeze it around the rim of this cocktail, Tom Collins glass. And then I would take sugar. This is garnishing our drink. So I would just put some sugar crystals around the top and rim our drink.
Oh, wow. That's so pretty.
Okay. Next, I would ice down this drink, ice down this glass.
Okay.
All right. Next, we're going to put all our muddled drink, we're going to add our rum. So it's 1.5 ounces of rum is our standard pour. Most drinks have 1.5 ounces.
Okay.
We are gonna I'm gonna measure 1/2 ounce.
So it looks like I have a flavored rum over here.
Yes. So I'm using Bacardi Silver Rum, just your basic white rum. But on yours, I sneaked in a coconut rum. I figured we'd make yours a little more flavorful.
I'm excited.
All right, so now we have our rum, we have all our ingredients. We're gonna shake, 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 just like the movie Cocktail. Just getting everything all mixed up. Then we would take a strainer from our bar set. And we will strain this into our serving glass. So all that watermelon pulp and all the mint leaves, all that, no one really wants to drink all that. So we strained it in here. And then I would top it just a little bit. We're going to top with club soda to keep it light and refreshing, a little effervescent. And then my last two steps, I'm going to put a wedge of watermelon on the glass. This is called garnishing. And I'm going to put some fresh mint on the glass. Fresh mint leaf. And here, my friends, is the MIT Endicott House's watermelon mojito.
Oh my God, it's like almost too pretty to drink.
Enjoy. We're gonna put
Cheers.
that right here. Cheers, Amy. All right, excellent. So that's how to make our watermelon mojito. We have two more cocktails to show you. Hopefully you'll try this at home. All right, our next cocktail is a special margarita. We were challenged by a group to make a blue cocktail. And at first, I thought that would be fairly easy, but got to play around in a cocktail lab, and I found out making a blue drink is not as easy as it sounded. Half the time I added different things, it would turn either bright green or purple on our color spectrum. But I think we nailed it. We came up with a blueberry margarita. And for this blueberry margarita, we're going to serve it in a margarita glass. So again, we're going to take the lime and do the same thing around the rim. We're going to squeeze that around the rim of the glass, but this time instead of using sugar, I have kosher salt, and I'm just going to twirl this around the glass. A lot of margaritas use salt. We have a poll question about tequila. I'd like to bring that up for a second and see, does tequila have to be made in Mexico? So from our poll, 46% of you said tequila does need to be produced in Mexico, but 54 said it does not, and that's actually wrong. It does have to come from Mexico. It comes from a very specific place. Jalisco, Mexico is the region where they grow the blue agave plant, and tequila has to come from the blue agave plant. What's interesting is there are different levels of tequila. Maybe some of you know that. Most people know of the three. We do have a slide of what these. So you have silver tequila, tequila blanco, and then then you have a golden tequila. Tequila reposado, that is tequila that is aged for 2 to 12 months in a white oak barrel, and that starts to give it color and it mellows out the flavor. And then you have tequila añejo, and then extra añejo. But tequila añejo is actually, that tequila is aged 1 to 3 years, gives it a much more amber color, and that is more of a sipping tequila. But with the tequila silver, it's interesting that because there's only blue agave plants from this specific region, there actually is a shortage, and tequila needs to have 51% of the blue agave, and then depending on your quality of tequila, some people will use mixers in there. So I actually like silver tequila, blanco tequila for margaritas, and reposado mixing with anything else. So we're gonna start by using a mixing glass, and for this we are going to add our ice. Next, we're going to pick a tequila. For this one, I'm going to use 1.5 ounces of a Blanco tequila. And for our drink, most margaritas are made with a Cointreau, or maybe they're made with triple sec as your next ingredient. Well, we found we're going to use Blue Carousel. It's a Dutch liqueur. And this actually also has orange flavor. So this is a great substitute for our margarita, and the flavor profile shouldn't change that much. We're just going to use 1/2 ounce of this. in the bottom of the glass. And another trick is, if you don't have sour mix, I hate those bright, dark yellow, sugary sour mixes. I prefer an all-natural lemonade. So we're going to put in some lemonade. And then this being MIT, of course, I have a beaker. I measured it out in a beaker. But this is fresh blueberry juice. We're just going to put just a little of fresh blueberry juice. And actually, I'll squeeze some lime juice in there as well. Okay, so we have everything here. Next, we're going to use actually, I'm going to pour it into our mixing tin. Next, I would shake, shake, shake. Get it nice and cold, mix up everything. And this is going to be ice and all because there's no real, no leaves and different things. We're going to pour that all in the glass. And that's the blue I was looking for. It's not a Hawaiian blue, it's a nice blueberry dark blue. And then for this drink, as well as we started with the watermelon mojito, we like to garnish. We like to step up our cocktail game and garnish everything with fun little things. So here's blueberries on a pick. But we also, our executive chef came up with a great garnish for this drink. And I'm going to show you a little clip, a video clip of what he went through to make a garnish for our drinks today. So we're going to let this video roll. Hopefully you enjoy it. So excellent. I really hope you enjoyed that. This is an example of our dried pineapple flowers. As you can see, Eddie, our chef, always goes above and beyond. The flavor profile of this dried pineapple flower goes perfectly with this margarita, blueberry margarita. It adds nice color, and it's tasty. These are edible. Again, this is a blueberry margarita. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you try it out. Delicious cocktail. Cheers, everyone. All right, and we're going to end with one of our staff favorites here at the Endicott House. It's called the Cucumber Basil Smash. Again, it incorporates herbs from our garden. It's a very light and refreshing drink. Here's the ingredients. All of these recipes will be on our website. So don't feel like you have to write them down. They should be easily. If you have any questions, always feel free to contact us. But to start off with this drink, you're going to get a cutting board. And over here I have mini cucumbers. And cut the ends off the cucumber. Then I'm going to cut the cucumber long ways into slices, long slices. And again, when you're building a cocktail, picking the right glass is part of the fun. So this is a celebratory drink. It's easy, perfect for the pool. We're going to take our cucumber slices and we're going to put them around the glass. I'm going to put ice up the middle of the glass. Like so. And then with the remaining cucumber pieces, I'm going to cut them into small pieces. Maybe we'll save one for the garnish on the glass. I'm going to drop the cucumbers in the bottom of the glass, like so. Our next ingredient is basil. Again, basil from our greenhouse, similar to the fresh mint. We're going to tear some basil leaves and drop that in with the cucumber.